Welcome back to Free Speech Nation. Writer Jean Hatchet has been to yesterday's trans protest in Sheffield. She went there to support women's rights and she was allegedly assaulted by a member of that protest. So we'll look at a clip.
Enjoyed posting a picture of me on Twitter, didn't you, though?
No, I didn't.
Oh, really?
So why? You know who I am?
I do know who you are.
All right,
yeah.
I know who you are.
No, really? So why did you post my picture on Twitter then?
I've absolutely no idea.
So why did you?
She also was told by police to move on to a different part of the protest.
I can stop you going up there if I believe it could cause trouble.
This is just the suffragette flag though. Why would that offend anyone? Why would it offend anyone?
That's what I'm saying.
What did it do?
Offended by it, or people don't like it, it cause trouble. And I think, you know what I'm saying? I can stop you, wasn't around going up there. What I'm saying is, can you just go down there and make your point?
I'm now joined by Jean herself. Jean, welcome to the show. Hello, look at you, glamorous. This is your non-protest outfit.
Thank you. Yeah, just a little bit tired today and a little bit overwhelmed, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, well, one of the clips that we didn't show there was I would argue, was more traumatising in terms of just people really getting up in your face, just the shouting at you, the abuse. And I'm sorry, let's go back to the beginning. So what happened? You saw that there would be this protest and you decided to go along.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Yeah, I think a few women felt, we knew, in fact, that the judgment was not going to be the end of things, that there would be a backlash. And because there has been such such viciousness towards women for so many years that there was no way that judgment would drop and then the viciousness would go away. So when we saw that something was being organised in protest, we went along to it's an act of defiance really, and just to scratch the surface and show what's actually there and what does not go away. And these are violent and lawless men, driving quite young children in some from what we saw and what we always see, they're quite impressionable children. But the people in my face were older men, and we know that they dislike women intensely, and that is not going to have gone away. So we went along to see what it was. What it was all about.
Well, this is it. I mean, this is what we've seen, unfortunately, from so much of the last few years, were men telling women what they were, what they weren't. And it wasn't just at this protest in Sheffield. There are various placards from across the country calling for the death of women, calling for violence towards women. And what's incredible is to see the police response to that. We did a feature earlier on two-tier policing. I don't know how many people actually were arrested for these outrageous calls for violence towards women.
Yeah. I mean, I've never really been part of the two-tier policing debate. I've not been asked much about it, but that is what I saw yesterday, because they were all over the public building, the town hall. It's, you know, your public right of access, and I said, right, I'm walking my suffragette flag back through there. I have the right to do it. I'm not going to be cowed by these bullies who've assaulted my partner. They've assaulted me, and I have the right to walk one flag, one women's rights flag, through their hundreds of flags in a public space that is a democratic place, and they would not let me pass. The police would not let me pass. So I asked them, why can I not walk where everyone is allowed to walk? Why can I not do that? And they said, because we think it will be a breach of the peace. And I said, who will breach that peace? Because I've never hurt anyone. And they said, we fear that well, they were very unclear at first, and then they confirmed for me, they feared for me and for the people I was with. There were only a handful of us. You know, we didn't organise a great protest. It was just, you know, let's go along and take a few flags. They'd already stolen virtually everything we had, and they had assaulted a number of us. I'm covered in bruises, actually. I didn't realise at the time, but, you know, we've looked at my arms. People have grabbed me very hard. My partner's, she had her face injured from people punching her, and she's had a headache all day.
And have the police actually arrested anybody from that? Sorry, have they come and taken a report from you? Have they taken any video footage? So a woman can be punched in the face, and this actually is what I saw years ago, which sort of opened my eyes to what was going on here. Were in this case it was men beating women and somehow being celebrated for it, and not being seen that is where the hate is coming from. You standing there with a suffragette flag, surely that isn't hateful.
It wasn't hateful, and we hadn't made speeches, we hadn't been noisy, we had simply held our flags, and one of them was the symbol of the lesbian resistance, the Labris flag, and that had been stolen from a lesbian woman. So, you know, the violence was quite incredible, and they were really shouting, really in our faces, and it became quite terrifying, actually. But when I started to say to the police officer who was trying to move me away for my safety, and I said, but this guy here, this bloke, because he was a bloke, he had a wig on and lipstick, but still a man, was pushing his body into mine, you know, his crotch into my sides. And I said, this guy is assaulting me. And the police officer said, we don't want to offend anyone, though. He was talking about my use of language about a man. And so he was more concerned with me and the way that I was calling men than he was with what was happening to me in front of him. And that was deeply, deeply shocking.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry for it. And again, seeing some of the clips and seeing you being so brave in the face of the hate was visceral, apart from the physical thing, but just the shouting, the screaming, 1,000 people all focused on you for being able to just stand there and say, look, women are biological women. I thought it was incredibly brave. I am so sorry that your partner and you got hurt. But I think where you going there and unfortunately exposing what happened is terrible but necessary. So thank you very much for coming on the show as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.